Howdy! In this video, we're going to practice factoring with fractional exponents. So the same rules apply as with regular exponents or integer exponents. In fact, these have negatives and fractions in the exponents. We always take out the one with the lowest exponent. So first we look at the constants here. We have a 3, a 9, and a 6. Two terms are positive, one's negative. So I'm not going to factor out a negative. I'm just going to take out a 3. And then as far as the x's go, right, we have x to the 3 halves, x to the 1 half, and x to the negative 1 half. Of those three numbers, negative a half, positive a half, and 3 halves, negative a half is the lowest. So that's what we're going to factor out. Promise it works every time, right? So then what are we left with? Well, you say, okay, this is what we're factoring out, right? 3x to the negative half times what equals to that? Now, let me do some scratch work over here just to kind of hopefully make that clear, right? We're saying this times what would equal this. So 3x to the negative 1 half times what, question mark, would equal 3x to the positive 1 half. 3 halves, I mean, right? And so keep in mind, well, the 3's obviously, we're good. We don't need to multiply by any constants there. But we say x to the negative half times, really it's going to be x to what power, obviously, times x to what power would equal that. Well, since with exponents, we add, we're really saying negative a half plus what number is equal to positive 3 halves. Or the shortcut that most people will take, they won't actually write any of this out. Instead, they'll just do 3 halves, this original exponent minus the exponent we took out, right? Because if I, in this case, we're going to add 1 half, right, because it already is negative, plus a half, right? So that gives us the missing exponent that we want is 3 halves plus 1 half, which is 4 halves, which is 2, right? So let's just do the subtraction. If I just jumped to the subtraction and did it, I would have had the original minus what we took out. The original is 3 halves minus negative 1 half is 3 halves plus a half, which is 4, which is 2. All right, so right here, we are left with, all in all, x squared. Because x to the negative a half times x squared is x to the 3 halves. Okay, and then we do that with everything, right? So then, well, we took a 3 out of 9, so we need to put a 3 here. And then we say we can do the original minus what we took out. So a half minus negative a half is a half plus a half, which is 1. So that's x to the 1. And then right here, we took out the x to the negative a half, and we took a 3 out of that 6, so we're just left with a plus 2. All right, so now we can look at that quadratic. We say, can we factor that further? Maybe we can factor that further. So that x squared minus 3x plus 2 is a quadratic. Let's try factoring that into x. They've got to be negative. So x minus 2 and x minus 1. And those terms would, in fact, add to negative 3x. And if you don't want a negative exponent, right, you can leave the x minus 2 and x minus 1 in the numerator, and actually the 3 would stay in the numerator as well, because only the x is to the negative 1 half power. So we could put that in the denominator and make the exponent positive. All right, so pause this video and try the next one on your own. And what we're going to do here is factor out, again, the thing to the most negative exponent. So looking at this, we have this repeated 2 plus x going on, 2 plus x to the negative 2/3 times x, plus 2 plus x to the positive 1/3. Both this 2 plus x and 2 plus x, that's what we're going to take out. We're going to take out the one that is to the most negative exponent, which would be the negative 2/3. That will leave us with just this one x right there, plus 2 plus x, I've typo there, 2 plus x. To what power? Let's just put a question mark real quick. We can do the original, which was, let's just do some scratch work, a 1/3 minus what we took out, which is negative 2/3. Well, that's a 1/3 plus a 1/3, which is 3/3, which is 1. So let's try that. If I just erase the exponent, does that work, right? Well, 2 plus x to the negative 2/3 times 2 plus x to the 1. Yeah, I guess you can write it, right? 1 plus negative 2/3 is positive 2/3. So that does work right there. I'm going to erase that to make room. Okay, so a couple things here. We can simplify the inside of that set of parentheses, and we can move that thing with the negative exponent down to the denominator. So in here, this parenthesis is really not doing anything. We can drop that and just add the 2x's. So this part on top becomes 2x plus 2. And this 2 plus x to the negative 2/3, let's move that to the bottom and make it 2 plus x to the positive 2/3. Now, it does say factor, so I'm going to go ahead and do the one more step, which is to take out that common factor of 2 up in that numerator, which will leave me with 2 times parentheses x plus 1 all over 2 plus x to the positive 2/3. Just like that. Oh, there we go. All right, so that's factoring with fractional exponents.